It's showtime.
Hey, welcome to Did You Watch Survivor Last Night? This is the only Survivor podcast. My name is Jake Scheidel. Usually, I ask my best friend Thomas Powell if he did indeed watch a certain reality show, but not this week. No, this week is Crizmiz. So, Thomas, I gotta say to you, Merry Crizmiz.
Merry Christmas to you too, Jake. We watched the ultimate reality show, professional wrestling.
Because it's real to us, damn it.
Yeah, it's still real to me.
Crizmiz, we missed it last year because we were in the year of Sandra, Yaz Queen, and that's important. But we're doing it this year because apparently the challenge wanted to take New Year's Eve off. Whatever. I love Crizmiz. It's my favorite time of the year. So, Thomas, I have to ask you. Did you celebrate Crizmiz last night?
I came to play. There's a price to pay. Time for you to get down on your knees.
I celebrate Crizmiz year round, but I did specifically celebrate it last night.
We do have to specify. We're not saying Christmas. We're saying Crizmiz. Because
spelled C-R-I-Z-M-A-Z, or M-A-Z. Crizmiz. C-R-I-Z-M-I-Z.
Yeah, this is the part of the year where we celebrate Mike the Miz Mizanin from The Challenge and his tag team partner John Morrison from Survivor, and I guess also they are wrestlers. So this year's entry into Crizmiz was called The Main Event. What did you think of that title of a movie, Thomas?
It's about as generic a title as they could have gone with, and it really doesn't tell you anything about the movie other than that wrestling might be involved.
Yeah, the other odd thing about this is WWE already has a show called Main Event.
They used the same font for it for the poster.
Of course they did. They were like, oh, we already got...
Why do they need to make a graphic? They already have one.
That's a really good point. Save like 10 minutes for whoever builds posters for WWE. This movie... The Main Event was released April 10, do you have a guess, Thomas?
2019.
2020. So I have to ask...
Oh, it was this year!
How old would you have been on April 10, 2020, Thomas?
Jake, I was 28 years old.
Oh, interesting. I would have been 29 years old. Can't wait to be 30
I'm so
in 2
excited
months.
for what... I was going to say, I really hope that we get to a point where you have to say that I would have been 30 years old.
It's soon. Oh my god, it's so soon. 2 more months of my 20s, and I'm loving it.
And then you're dead.
Then I'm dead. That's it.
That's all you get.
Yeah.
I got a whole nother 8 months, so
yeah.
Joke's on you.
Yeah. Great stuff. The movie starts with The Miz being beaten by a child in a dream sequence. Great stuff.
He gets beaten. Can you imagine? This is like the finish for this match is like what would happen if The Miz was going to be released the next day. It's like,
yeah,
The Miz got beaten by a guy who did an elbow drop, not off of the top turnbuckle, but like a springboard elbow drop.
Do you wish
onto him?
Do you
like you're done? There's going to be a statement coming about how they wish you the best in all your future endeavors immediately following that.
The Miz is gonna release a tweet that says, "I support unionization," and then 10 minutes later, the WWE will be like, wishing him future endeavors. Yeah.
Bye. Good luck.
So the kid who beats The Miz is named Leo, and then Leo's grandma wakes him up using an ankle lock because they both love wrestling so much.
So, Jake.
Yes.
How did you feel about the fact that wrestling... This was like an alternate universe where like wrestling is the most popular thing on Earth. It'd be like if the MCU was wrestling. Everyone watches it. It's so popular that they broadcast tryouts on national television.
I was so curious about that because they said it was an NXT show, so I have to assume it's broadcast. Oh yeah, it is broadcast because we see the kids watching it later. So yeah.
Yes. That was the insane thing to me, because I was like, oh, they're doing a tryout or whatever. Like, he's going to show up on the show later. And it's like, nope, they're broadcasting the tryout.
Well, I mean, that is what NXT used to be.
People didn't try out for it. They were people that had already been hired. Like, it was developmental.
Maybe, okay, here's my rationalization. It's not on USA or the WWE network. It is specifically on Fallbridge's PBS station.
Yeah,
It seems like only the people who live in Fallbridge pay any attention to what's happening in this.
Yeah, the idea that you would be broadcasting anything from Fallbridge, and like apparently it's like a big tryout. Like
Yeah.
it's like a big event, and it's not in a major city or where the performance center is. It's just in Fallbridge. But this is also an alternate universe where wrestling is real and also magic is real.
What are you? Both of those things are true. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's one of those ones where like wrestling is just like a regular physical sport that you do.
I mean, technically, wrestling is a physical sport that you can do, but as
physical sports entertainment.
There we go. Leo does point out that he doesn't love wrestling; he loves WWE, which honestly, same. Although the WWE
Vince
part is not as
McMahon made
accurate.
them do that.
Yeah. Don't call it wrestling. Leo loves wrestling so much that his walls are entirely covered exclusively with WWE wrestlers' posters.
I think that stuff makes more sense than his grandma constantly wearing it and also flirting with his t-shirt that has Kofi Kingston on it, which was one of my least favorite parts of the film.
Yeah. Was she horny for the whole New Day or just Kofi?
I think just Kofi, but I think she liked the rest of the New Day.
Well,
I
yeah.
think she's not turning down any of them, but I think Kofi's her favorite.
Oh, I mean, of course. Kofi was...
Well, what do you mean, of course?
I don't know. Kofi was champion at this time when they filmed this.
Number one.
Big E is number one. Big E, IC champion now. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Fair warning to people who don't watch wrestling or don't know anything about wrestling. This is a whole episode of the Wrestling Corner, so...
Yeah.
Just...
I'm sure anyone now is, like, shocked to hear that after.
God damn it, why aren't they talking about the challenge after
We're
show?
talking about a WWE Films movie that is about wrestling. Like, why are they talking about all this wrestling?
Leo's dad drives for Lyft ever since Leo's mom left them. Leo, not married. He's a child. Leo has a mom, though. Were they married, Leo's dad and his mom? Or not? I don't remember him ever...
I guess, but also, is the grandma the mom's mom? Like, why are they all living together?
I would assume, but that raises so many questions.
Yeah, the home situation didn't make a lot of sense to me. They didn't make a lot of effort to explain it either.
Honestly, Thomas, I don't think they put a lot of effort into any part of this movie. They literally recycled one of their icons for a different show for this movie.
Look, it was a layup, Jake. They already had the graphic design done.
Might as well.
Anyone would have done the same.
I can't wait for them to make another movie like this and just call it Monday Night Raw. Because why not? Leo goes to school and he gets bullied. He has two friends also who love the WWE. One of them wants to be a WWE director. I know you said you skipped through a lot of the scenes with the friends. Did you catch that?
Oh, I did watch this. Yeah, and they're like, well, someone already does that. His name is Mr. McMahon. It's like, Vince McMahon doesn't
do that.
Doesn't direct. There's a guy named Kevin Dunn who does that.
Do you think Kevin Dunn was Kevin Dunn with this movie? Because I sure was.
Yeah, I certainly was, but I just had to make a note of how stupid these kids are. They don't even know as much about wrestling as I do. This thing that I don't watch anymore.
Who's champions right now, Thomas? Other than Big E, which I already told you.
I know. Yeah, I actually already knew that Big E beat Sami Zayn, right, for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
I could not tell you who the U.S. champion is right now.
Bobby Lashley, I believe.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
You could have said anyone, and I would have believed you. Is Drew McIntyre still champ?
He is, and guess who he's facing off against at Royal Rumble?
Is it like Brock Lesnar?
It's not Brock Lesnar. No, he already beat Brock Lesnar. Somebody in this movie. His grandma wants...
Is he wrestling Keith Lee, or is he wrestling Otis Dozovic?
Okay, first of all, it's just Otis now. And second,
I
Keith
forgot.
Lee.
Vince hates last names. Wow, why don't I watch wrestling anymore?
Do you ever listen to the New Days podcast?
I miss Big E being called Big E Langston. I think Big E Langston was a better name.
That's what I was just going to bring up. Every every introduction for the New Days podcast, Big E just talks about how he lost his last name, and he goes on like a 5 or 10 minute diatribe about how he misses the Langston family. It's great.
That's
Big E is great.
yeah. I should listen to their podcast, especially since they're I'm a big Giant Bomb fan, and their producer left Giant Bomb to produce the show.
It's so fun.
Dan.
Even if you don't watch wrestling, it's still a very fun podcast. They're just three charming
Yeah, like
people.
those guys are funny, and Dan Reichert is very funny. So I should listen to it.
They talk about wrestling less than us, and it's a wrestling podcast. Did you?
No, I've seen clips. I saw the famous Big E versus Goldberg dream match clip that everyone loves so much.
Yes. Leo has to run from his bullies after school and ends up at an estate sale where he finds a magic wrestling mask. Because
I'm glad
why
you
not?
noticed that was an estate sale, because I thought it was like a weird museum. I didn't understand what it was supposed to be.
No, there was a big sign at the front of the house that said estate sale, which, man, that really... It felt very forced, but also everything in wrestling feels very forced.
I mean, they had to find somewhere for him to find it, and that makes sense as, like... It makes a lot more sense that the guy would be like, I don't know, you can have it.
Yeah.
But also, that guy, probably also magic.
Is that guy a wrestler?
Do you think that guy was an angel?
Yes, 100% that guy was an angel.
This is like, there is a recurring thing in Hallmark movies where, like, one of the characters is hinted at to be, that, like, helps the main character is hinted at as maybe being an angel sometimes.
It makes
like,
so
I feel
much
like
sense.
This was the Hallmark, movie equivalent.
Because he never shows up again. He just provides the kid with the, what's the word?
With the MacGuffin.
Thank you. He gives him the MacGuffin, and
Gives him the Egg McMuffin.
he gives him the Egg McMuffin, and
Gives
then
him the
leaves.
McGriddle.
Do you think Ronald McDonald is an angel for inventing Egg McMuffins?
I think anyone that would deliver joy, happiness, and delicious treats to the world can be considered. If he's not an angel, I don't know who is.
Actually, I think Ronald McDonald. I assume it's Ronald McDonald who invented the McGriddle. Whoever invented the McGriddle, I hope they're happy in heaven, because that's where they belong.
Yeah, I remember seeing the commercial for that and being like, gross, what won't they stoop to? And this was when I was like 10 or 11 when they came out or whatever. I was like, that's ridiculous that they would do that. And then I had one and I was like, damn, that's good.
It's the best fucking thing ever.
Also, I was a child. I didn't understand that it's like one of the best things you can eat when you're hungover.
Oh, absolutely. All those carbs, all that sugar and protein, man, I really want a McGriddle now. God damn.
It's been surpassed. The Wendy's breakfast honey butter chicken biscuit is superior, but the McGriddle still very good.
Have not tried the Wendy's breakfast, but every time I pass a Wendy's now, I think of how you told me it was so good.
It's good, man.
So
it depends on what you get, but overall it's pretty good.
I'm waiting to order breakfast from Wendy's for when I finally go back to work.
Yep.
Because I want to celebrate going back to work. I'm going to do so with a Wendy's breakfast because I'm a goddamn American.
What about breakfast at Wendy's?
Yes, great. Did you?
You said, well, that's the one thing we've got.
Yeah. Leo's grandma wants to be an influencer. I wrote that down because it seemed like it was going to be a subplot, but it wasn't really.
Yeah, I think that the point where I really was like, I'm out on this movie was when they were having his grandma make hashtag jokes. I was like, oh, cool, jokes from 2010.
Yeah. Remember when hashtags were fun? Now all hashtags are like, dump Trump, or kill Mitch McConnell.
Stop the steal.
Well, we do have to stop the steal, though. You can't just steal an election.
Yeah,
you gotta respect
wouldn't steal
our
a car.
You wouldn't download an election.
You wouldn't download being president.
So Leo and his grandma watch Raw together, and Leo says that he wishes he was strong like Kofi Kingston, at which point
What if instead of watching Monday Night Raw, they were watching Eddie Murphy's Raw?
And they never address it, they're still talking about Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, they just move on.
Yeah, great. Grandma tells him that he needs to be mentally and emotionally strong as well. I guess. but also, like, I want to be strong like Kofi Kingston.
Yeah. Now that I'm estranged from my daughter and living with my son-in-law.
She and Leo must have had a really strong relationship for her to stay home when her daughter moved to New York with a fella.
Wait, she moved there. She moved there with Sheamus.
Yeah. They cut that.
That's just
scene
old
out.
wrestling humor.
And then we get the commercial for the NXT show happening in Leo's hometown of Fallbridge. Do you know where Fallbridge is, Thomas?
I could not tell you. It could be literally anywhere.
I just Googled it real quick, and it seems to be in Washington.
Okay.
But also it seems like one of those town names that could be literally anywhere.
It's like the reason they chose Springfield for The Simpsons,
Yeah.
because there's a bunch of different Springfields, so that there's just no real way to place it.
That night, Leo overhears a conversation between his dad and his grandma where we find out that his dad owes $20,000 on the house.
Excuse you, like $20,000. An official amount is never given.
Look, I've never owned a house, probably never will, but he was worried that he would lose the house if he didn't pay off the $20,000, like, immediately, it seemed like.
I mean, he could be $20,000 behind on his mortgage payments, in which case,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, I've never owned a house. I didn't know that could happen. Leo tries on the mask, and his wrestling persona is revealed. He's now a cool guy with super strength.
Also, his wrestling, but he doesn't have a wrestling persona. He just says things that other wrestlers have said.
Yeah, that's a wrestling persona.
This would be the least over gimmick in the history of wrestling.
But in fact, it's the most over gimmick in all of the main event. People love it. Who do you think had the best gimmick of all of the wrestlers we saw?
There isn't really a lot going. I mean, the gimmicks are basically, I'd say probably the cowboy guy, just because it's the only especially defined one. Like Otis's is just that he's gross.
Yeah, Otis's is not
Lee's,
much different from his regular.
Keith Lee's is that he sings, which is nice.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think Keith Lee would be an over babyface because he's Keith Lee.
I mean, he literally is.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre are both baby faces. Why are they facing each other? That's going to be weird. Whatever, I'm still going
face
to watch
versus
it.
face matches can be good. Depends.
Yes,
Maybe somebody will do heel stuff in that match.
I'm sure.
But I'm trying to think of who else was in that. Who are the other people? Well, obviously the guy with Ken Marino as his manager is not.
His name is, in wrestling, Daba Kato. Isn't that a great name for a large wrestler?
He's just like, his thing is that he's big.
His thing is that he's
okay.
big. Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I think Smooth Operator is probably the best one. Because it's just the most clear.
Smooth Operators, Smooth Operator is a fun name.
Yeah. Leo kicks down a tree and then does a promo on the tree. I thought that was fun. I thought it was very funny that he did a promo on a tree. He then researches the mask and finds out that it is...
Okay, this was the best part. This was the best part of the movie. This is my favorite stupid... It's like in Twilight when Bella Googles vampires. Like, are vampires real? And Google's like, yes, vampires are actually real. That's my favorite thing that happens in a movie. There's... I can't remember which... what the name of it is, but there was a... I think it was an Ethan Hawke horror movie where he was being haunted by a monster, and there's a scene in it where he talks to Vincent D'Onofrio, who's just some sort of like expert on it. He's like a college professor, and he's like, yeah, what you got here is like a Bagul problem.
Oh, sure.
It's a classic Bagul problem. Like anything like that in a movie I love so much, where they just like take something metaphysical and just have somebody be like, oh yeah, no. Like, yeah. You gotta call a guy about this.
This is real, and you are right
He
to be
literally
afraid.
looks it up and it's like, oh yeah, there's just a wrestler with a magic mask. It's like, yeah, you just did that thing that you can... It took him like 2 Google searches to get there.
I know. I can't believe how buried it was, too. He had to find some article from like the 50s or something and zoom in really closely to get this information.
Yeah, who would remember that there was a guy with a magic mask in a world where like wrestling is the most popular sport on earth?
The most
Wouldn't that be
popular
cheating
sports
too? I feel like that
entertainment.
would be a scandal.
You would
Because
think.
this is like an actual competition.
Yeah. Yeah, what if wrestling, the results weren't decided beforehand? The most important thing about this magic mask, though, is that it deems who is worthy of its magic. That's important. That's like Thor's hammer, you know?
Which, again, that's editorializing. They don't know that's true.
But we do know it's true based on the end of this
we
movie.
We know it's true, but I'm saying that whoever wrote that article about it, like, they don't, how would they know?
They're a good reporter. They ask the right questions.
I'm just saying, like, the guy that had it before was willing to deceive people to win wrestling matches, so you don't think that guy would lie?
I don't remember that part of the movie. I'll take your word for it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the guy that had the magic mask, like, entered competitions without people knowing he had a magic mask that gave him superpowers, so he was already deceiving everyone. So if he's the one that told you, oh, it actually deserves, like, it only works for people who are worthy of it, which is me, I'm cool. Like, why would I believe him?
Yeah. I mean, why would you tell somebody if you've got that advantage? You gotta keep things secret in wrestling. Keep it secret, keep it safe, wrestling. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that guy was actually kicked out of the for exposing the business. Not because he was cheating.
Yeah, that's why he hid the mask away for all those years. It's like, nobody can have this power. No one man should have all that power. That's what that wrestler said. And that's what Kanye was quoting when he wrote that song. At school, Leo shuts off the lights and hangs up his bullies by their underwear. Did you love this? Was it very funny to you?
I like that there was a light switch for the entire school.
That was very odd
This is the master light switch for the school.
To be fair, we don't know how big that school is. Maybe that's how it is. I don't know.
I just, very convenient that he was 2 feet away from it when those guys were going to attack him.
Yeah. Then we go to the NXT show that's been advertised, and we meet Samson, who is very big and strong and managed by Ken Marino. So that's good.
What a delight.
Yeah.
Oh, did we mention that Adam Pally plays his dad?
Oh, yeah, Adam Pally is his dad and delivers 0 jokes,
Yeah, they have, like, one of my favorite comedic actors working, and they give him nothing. Like, just nothing. At least Ken Marino is, like, a goofy character.
Yeah, when I saw Adam Pally at first, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I miss happy endings.
Yeah,
so
I do, and, like, yeah, when I saw Ken Marino, I was like, man, I miss Party Down. But it's perfect, because it's like, if you have to cast someone to wear a goofy-looking tuxedo, who better than Ken Marino?
That's his whole thing. Leo is announced as Kid Chaos, which I don't remember if we talked about that already on the recording, but Kid Chaos.
It's very close to the name of the wrestler Kid Cash, who was, like, worked a lot, but was not an exceptional wrestler by any means, and his original gimmick was a Kid Rock parody.
That's great. I love that. Remember Big Cass? And Enzo Amore?
Yes. Yes, I do. Man, Enzo Amore, remember when they were, like, a big deal and everyone liked them, myself included?
And then it turned out they were both pretty fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Even for
turns out they
wrestler
were
standards.
Both assholes, yeah.
Yeah. What? You can't be 7 feet tall and also an asshole.
Yeah. You can't teach being an asshole.
Yeah. Everyone has to compete in a barrel toss and also beat the dummy and also jump off the top rope. That's the first competition in the NXT tryouts, I guess, that are broadcast to all of
Again, why is this being brought? I guess this is more similar to what the original NXT was when it was like the competition show where they would have them do stuff like this.
Right.
But like, who would watch this? Why is this being broadcast?
Us, apparently, to answer your question, we would watch this. Samson can't get to the top rope, and I thought that was because he was a very large man, because that's a thing in wrestling.
But is it because he's... I assumed it to mean immediately that he was afraid of heights.
You did?
Yes.
Oh.
Because he looked scared.
Oh, sure. I thought it was just because big wrestlers generally don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true also. I assumed he was going to do the like Vader bomb, which is the thing where you're facing the turnbuckle and you grab the top rope and do like the little splash where you push yourself backwards onto them.
Mm-hmm. That's
Jack
cool.
Swagger does it too. Or Jake Hager or whatever
Jake
the fuck his
Hager,
name is now.
I watched some of the Brody Lee episode of AEW the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And Lance Archer, who is also fucking gigantic, walked to
Lance Archer's big.
He walked to the middle of a rope and did a flip off the top rope. I was like,
he's very impressive.
You're too big to be able to do that. Just fucking punch people. Yeah. Come on. That's
I feel like that anytime I see Keith Lee do anything, I'm like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Come on.
Keith Lee is. I'm so excited. To be honest, I have not been very, very into Drew McIntyre as champion. I was like, fine, whatever. I don't really care about anything. But watching the Keith Lee stuff with him, it's a lot of fun. Royal Rumble is in a few weeks, and I'm always very excited.
Having two athletic giant guys fighting each other is always good.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's gonna be such a good match. Okay. Anyway, it's enough wrestling talk. Let's talk about this movie for Crizmiz. Merry Crizmiz.
Yeah, let's talk about this wrestling movie.
Kid Chaos successfully makes it to the second round. That's exciting. He then tells his grandma about the mask. So that's important, I guess. What did you think of Leo asking out that girl from a different row of books in the library?
I skipped most of these scenes. I had no interest in the subplot.
It was quite bad.
I was like, I'll watch the wrestling stuff. I don't give a shit about any of this other stuff. I watched a little bit of the dad having to work subplot.
Oh, yeah. Leo wins his match in the second round of the tournament. I forget who he beat, but it's probably some NXT.
He beats the cowboy guy.
Oh, Adam Page. Just kidding. Adam Page was not... Was Adam Page ever in NXT?
No.
Well, that's probably why they had a child beat him. And...
Yeah.
So he goes back home, and the phone date that he planned with what's-her-name turns into an in-real-life study session. Crazy awkward. Did you skip this scene, too?
Do we need to talk? Honestly, let's just not talk about this stuff. Like, there's nothing to talk about with this.
Well, it all leads up to an important scene at the end. It actually doesn't. He puts on the mask and tries to study from a different room. It's very funny. And then Kid Chaos faces Stinkface, who is Otis.
Yep.
Stinkface.
I thought there was some decent physical comedy. One of the funnier lines in the movie is where he goes to do like a Hurricane Rana on him or something and touches his head and he's like, ugh, why are you all wet? And Otis goes, don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Yeah, Otis is good. My favorite thing about Stinkface was that he had an explosive fart finisher.
Yeah,
it's
good. He
good.
did a big fart and they had like everyone's faces look like they were in a wind tunnel in slow motion.
And that's good. And it's funny.
And it rocketed him back so far that he like springboarded off the ropes and hit him in the head and knocked him out.
Here's my hot take on Otis. I don't really care one way or the other. I like him. People love Otis. I think he's fine.
I think he's got some charisma.
Sure. I fear he's a little...
He's got a little bit of Chris Farley going on with him.
Yeah. I worry that he is a little one note.
I think he's a pretty good wrestler.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. Back at home, Leo's dad tries to have a heart-to-heart with Leo, but it ends up just being him trying to talk to him about cars again. Did your dad talk to you a lot about cars growing up?
No, I mean, not unless it was, like... I feel like I didn't start talking about cars with my dad until, like, I had my car, and if there were problems, I would talk to him about it, because my dad kind of knows stuff about cars.
Sure.
But, like... Yeah, not as, like, a hobby or anything.
I didn't start talking about cars with my dad until...
I talk about Cars 2 with my dad.
Okay. See, I was Googling when Cars came out, so I could make that joke, but I guess you can do it. I didn't start talking about cars
I want to say Cars came out in
2006.
2006. I'm going to say 2006.
Yeah, you're right. You got it. Good job. Good job, Thomas. Leo can't stay for the car talk because he has a group hanging at the diner because one of his friends...
Because those guys are dead. Because the one guy died.
Because the one guy
talk,
died.
So they're not doing it. They're not doing it anymore.
Clack, clink and clink, something like that. Look, I only listen to hip, cool NPR shows.
Didn't those guys have a cameo in the movie Cars?
Oh yeah, probably. That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of car stuff in the movie Cars.
Yeah, Tony Shalhoub, classic car.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite kind of car. The Tony Shalhoub.
He plays an Italian car.
Of course. Sure, why not? What did I just watch with Tony Shalhoub in it? Oh, 13 Ghosts. Have you ever seen 13 Ghosts?
Why did you watch that?
My girlfriend loved it as a child and was like, let's watch this movie.
I bet it wasn't very good.
It was not, but I did think about it every day for a week straight, so that's gotta say something.
That's good. Yeah, you know what? That's a bad movie that sticks with you is at least interesting.
That movie is so weird. I did not follow anything that was happening in that movie, but definitely watch it. The diner gets robbed during their group hang, and Leo puts on the mask and becomes Kid Chaos, and he stops the robbery. Then he tells his friends that he's Kid Chaos. And that's what all the kid scenes is leading up to. It's like, you don't even care about these children.
I really don't.
Ken Marino slips on some butter in Samson's trailer, which gives him an idea. Why does Samson have a trailer for NXT tryouts?
Yeah, shouldn't he just already be on the roster? Like, why would he need to try out? Like, if he's already that big, they would probably just ask him, they would just sign him.
I don't know. I don't know. I love that Ken Marino was still in his, like, manager persona, even when there was no one else around.
Yeah, it was great.
It's great.
Yeah, he was maybe the best part of this movie.
Yeah. I think of the people who aren't WWE people, I think he was definitely the best part.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Kid Chaos has to fight his best wrestler friend, Smooth Operator. I didn't realize that the NXT the people from NXT weren't playing themselves. So I was like, wait, did Keith Lee have like a singing gimmick in NXT that I never heard about? No, it's just he's playing a different character.
If he had debuted on the main roster, if this was a time before NXT and Vince McMahon was doing it, he absolutely would have had a singing gimmick.
Oh,
Vince would have been
100%.
like, oh, this will be hilarious.
Yeah, remember when they tried to make the New Day preachers?
Yes.
And they very quickly were like, nah, we're not going to do that.
Work.
Ken Marino spills some oil on the steps before Kid Chaos's entrance, and then...
Wait, Jay, sorry, really quick. Do you remember the lead-up to the New Day, though, when they were doing the Preacher thing, where before the whole thing was that Biggie and Xavier Woods came out dressed like he was in, like, the Nation of Islam?
Yeah.
And was like, they were going to do that? Like, it was going to be like we're respecting ourselves now. Like, they were basically going to try and do another Nation of Domination gimmick, I think. And then they were like, we can't really do that because the writing would have been just terrible, probably. And so then they did something worse, and then they managed to salvage that into one of the best and most enduring gimmicks in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah. The New Day story is great, and I love it.
There really is something to be said for giving very talented people a shitty gimmick so bad that they can eventually just sort of do their own thing.
Mm-hmm. I will say,
and then they can turn it into something. It's like the Damien Mizdow gimmick, one of the great random things somebody got over.
Well, yeah, it's just, I love how the big thing in wrestling is, as long as you're incredibly charming, you'll be successful. Like,
people appreciate that you're putting the effort in.
Sandow and The Miz are both very charming people, so of course they work well together.
Breezango was kind of like that too.
Breezango's great.
Where it was like they were both put in a position where they were like near getting fired, and they basically were like, we'll just fuck around, and then ended up being popular.
Yeah, they did a fucking Twin Peaks parody. Like, wrestling, for as stupid as wrestling is, it's a lot of fun. As evidenced by Ken Marino spilling some oil on the steps before Kid Chaos's entrance. But guess what? Kid Chaos, you can't keep him down. He wins. He beats Smooth Operator. And then backstage, Ken Marino finds out that Kid Chaos's mask is magic. Why was Ken Marino at the Smooth Operator Kid Chaos match? Like, on the outside of the ring? Was he at that?
I mean,
was he there for?
Wasn't everybody else there that was in the tryouts? I mean, he's the guy's manager. It makes sense that he would be there,
but not on the outside of the ring. Like, maybe in the audience. But I don't think anybody else.
Yeah,
was like,
you'd think he would be. Yeah, like behind the barricade.
Right. Seems like cheating, but whatever. I'm not Sheamus. I'm not a referee. There's a press conference that goes along, so Leo misses his talent show performance with his girlfriend, whose name I never did write down. Did you get her name?
No.
No, you skipped all the scenes with her.
No, I did.
One of his friends steps in to take his place at the talent show, and that's nice. When Leo finally gets to the talent show, they're all mad at him, and he says, "Sorry, I'm Kid Chaos, and you're not." And that's, remember, the mask decides who gets the power and who doesn't. This is why they set that up. Because then Leo gets beat up by his bullies. And then he has to face off against Samson. I think this was the best part of the movie, when they were introducing the Samson versus Kid Chaos match, and Renee Young was so excited that somebody might die. She really played that well. I think she was definitely the best WWE superstar in the whole movie, I think. Renee Young's great.
Yeah, I think... yeah, she's a pro. She put in, she treated it like anything else she does.
Yeah, just professional. Renee Parquet is her name now. She left the WWE, so good for her. Can't wait to see all of these people not be in WWE anymore. I looked up the Nexus yesterday because I was doing a lot of research into World Wrestling Entertainment to do these notes. Basically, nobody from the Nexus is in WWE anymore.
Yeah, they're all... I mean, it's basically just Daniel Bryan, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I guess Cena, but Cena's not really around anymore either.
Oh, Cena that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Cena was in the Nexus for like a week as part of that gimmick, or part of that plot line. So I don't consider him a member of the Nexus. Jake, speaking of people that were in Nexus, do you remember the Make Darren Young Great Again gimmick?
Oh yeah. I was considering. This is why I started looking up the Nexus, because I was thinking about doing something in the intro, how we take no days off, like Darren Young.
Mr. No Days Off himself.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently he's wrestling for New Japan now, though, so...
Oh, that's cool. That's, I bet he's doing a lot more interesting stuff over there.
Probably.
My favorite, the way that I always think of Darren Young now is there's New Legacy Inc. is this YouTube channel that does a lot of wrestling video game related stuff. And there was a while where they were running their own association on 2K, where the gimmick that they had they were doing that, it was from whatever game that the Make Darren Young Great Again thing was in there, and they kept referring to him as the first openly great wrestler. So that's just what I think of him every time now. I'm like, yeah, Darren Young, the first openly great wrestler.
I think about that a lot. I remember how much press they got when Darren Young came out as gay. And it was like, wow, that's really great. Look at the WWE. And then 3 months later, he was gone, and now he wrestles in Japan. Yep. Doesn't look great.
They got the PR. They got the good PR they wanted, and they were done with him after that.
Yeah. So then Samson and Kid Chaos face off in a steel cage match with special guest referee Sheamus, because why not? No one has mentioned Sheamus at all this whole movie. He wasn't really doing anything in the main show at the time. Like WWE programming, I mean. Look,
Sheamus had a day off to go shoot. Unlike Darren Young, he has days off sometimes. And so he was there. They just needed somebody to show up to the shoot, and he was available for an hour.
Here's what I want with Sheamus. Remember the bar? Him and Cesaro? Great stuff.
They are the bar.
Yeah. Cesaro is now with Shinsuke Nakamura, and they're also great together. Sheamus is doing like singles stuff, I guess, but not really doing anything. Okay. He's just kind of floundering, how wrestlers do. Fucking get Sheamus to join that group again, and throw, I don't know, Sami Zayn, somebody else who's not American in there, and redo the League of Nations, but make them good this time.
Yeah, and you can have Castro, Sami Zayn in charge of them. I love that gimmick, by the way. Another instance of Vince just being like, I don't know, like Sami being like, hey, this would be fun to do, and Vince being like, yeah, it's funny because you're making fun of Fidel Castro, and Sami's like, yes, making fun of him.
Yeah, Sami Zayn's gimmick is the weirdest thing, because it's like, everything you're saying is right, but they play him as a heel. He's like,
Well, he is though. Like he's obscuring what he's actually doing.
he's great though.
With that.
Man,
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, go back and watch his triple threat ladder match with AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy from this year for the IC title. It's so much fun. It's just Sami Zayn being the most Sami Zayn. It's so great. I love wrestling. It's so stupid. I don't want to reveal what the finish is, but it's perfect. It's so well done. Kid Chaos finds out that Samson stole his magic mask and replaced it with a fake. But it's okay because Samson's afraid of heights, remember? So I don't remember exactly. How does Kid Chaos get him up on the ropes? Is that how it ends? How does he make him be afraid of heights?
Well, don't they have to climb out of the cage to win?
Oh, that's right. I forgot they're in a steel cage. Yeah, so he climbs the cage. That was the thing. The whole thing with the steel cage match. I don't like steel cage matches, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like, I think it is objectively the worst gimmick match that there is.
Absolutely. Because you either have to pin or submit the person like a regular match, or just get out of the ring. It's like...
So yeah, the whole thing is about like, oh, this guy's going for the door. Oh no, he grabbed his leg.
Yeah. Oh darn! How are you gonna get out of this one? Yeah, it's stupid. Best gimmick match: Royal Rumble. Fucking 3 weeks away. I can't wait.
I will be watching the Royal Rumble.
Have you looked at anything that I have it up here? So far, they've only announced 2 matches. But do you want to hear?
I don't even know if I'm going to watch any of the regular matches. I just will be watching the Rumble match.
It's going to be fun.
It is the wrestling version of Remember Some Guys. It's like, hey, some guys showed up.
So far,
who's going to show up this year?
So far, only 2 people announced for the men's Royal Rumble match, and they are Daniel Bryan and Bobby Lashley. So that's already off to a good start. And then the only person to announce for the women's is Nia Jax. She's still around, huh?
Sure.
We love Nia Jax.
She's not going anywhere, man. She's related to The Rock.
I know.
That means that you get pushed for life.
Fucking oh my god. Have Nia Jax join Roman Reigns' stable that he's building. It makes sense.
That would make sense.
Man, that's the other thing. This year, honestly, has been really good for WWE. There's like...
Yeah, no, I've seen some of the Roman Reigns stuff. It seems pretty cool.
There's a good handful of storylines that have been really good this year. So the prize is $50,000 and also a contract with WWE. Kid Chaos wins.
But he's not going to take the contract because he's a child.
Yes, The Miz tells him, obviously they can't have an 11-year-old in the WWE. But remember, they did have a 10-year-old be tag team champion 1 year before this movie was filmed.
That's true,
So,
double standard.
Yeah. So Leo decides since he won, he gets to give the contract to anyone he wants. And The Miz just says, sure, why not? Because that's how it works.
Yeah, whatever, we're running out of time in the movie.
So he gives his contract to Smooth Operator, which makes sense. Even though, like, basically everybody who tried out for this NXT show was already in NXT, but whatever, semantics. And then 2 weeks later, Leo has an actual wrestling match, and that's good for him.
Without a mask on, he's just doing normal wrestling.
Yeah. So how do you rank this against the 2 other Crizmiz movies we've watched?
It's the worst one that we've watched.
Not enough Miz!
I think it is. I think the production values are the best of any of the ones that we watched, but it was the least entertaining. The Christmas Bounty was easily the best of all of them.
I did have the thought a lot of times watching this, what if we were watching Christmas Bounty instead?
I wish I was watching Christmas Bounty.
Christmas Bounty is great. But unfortunately, we still have like 8 more Miz movies.
Yeah, we just gotta watch all of the Marines that he's in now.
Okay, here's all the other Crizmiz movies we haven't watched yet. The Campaign, which I feel like is only a cameo, probably.
I feel like he's a cameo in that movie. Same thing with Fighting With My Family. He's like barely in that movie.
The Marine 3, Queens of the Ring, which I believe is a French movie, so that's probably not happening anytime soon. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery, The Marine 4, Moving Target, Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon, Marine 5 Battleground, Marine 6 Close Quarters, and finally Fighting With My Family, the most recent one after Main Event.
A movie I've already seen and is good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
You know. It's not a Miz movie. It is a movie that Miz is in for, like, one scene.
I would argue this isn't really a Miz movie either.
No. Yeah, the Miz is in this movie for, like, 3 scenes.
I was worried that this movie would only feature the Miz in the beginning scene where he gets buried by Kid Chaos in the dream sequence. But then he ended up being like
It would be really funny. It would be really, really funny if that was the only spot he show. He's in the first scene in the movie and he never shows up again.
Yeah. Oh, did you know he's Money in the Bank, Mr. Money in the Bank right now?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I was wondering what he was up to. I always like the Miz doing stuff.
Yeah, he's being a fun shit heel as always with John Morrison. He's
great at that.
Otis won the Money in the Bank match earlier this year, and then the Miz sued him for negligence. And JBL was
what a great way for Miz to get the briefcase.
I was like, this is the dumbest shit, but I watched every entry of that
that's
storyline.
the good kind of dumb wrestling stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the dumb stuff that you want.
So JBL was the judge they went to because why not? And he gave the briefcase to the Miz. And then John Morrison.
These activist heel judges, man.
John Morrison cashed in for the Miz, on the Miz's behalf during whatever the last pay-per-view was. And then the Miz was given the briefcase back again after he lost because he didn't actually cash in. Morrison cashed it in, so technically it didn't count. It's just like, yeah, of course. It's great. It's so annoying, and that's exactly what you want out of that character. I love it. I don't know. I feel like I had more fun watching this than Santa's Little Helper. I don't know. I don't know. There's more emotional stakes to Santa's Little Helper than this one.
Yeah, I think the difference between those movies is that The Miz was the main character of the other 2 movies.
Yeah. The Miz...
I got to see The Miz in, like, every scene of that movie, whereas I only got to see The Miz in, like, 3 scenes, and the rest of it was a kid with a pitch-shifted voice. And a bunch of subplots I didn't care about.
Yeah.
Those subplots were literally like, I don't know, we gotta fill this movie out, man. This thing's gotta be an hour and a half.
Did you catch how long it was?
It was like an hour and 35 minutes, which I'm glad it was only that long.
Yeah. Oh my god. Imagine this movie being 2 hours long.
I would have not finished it.
Do you still know French at all?
Un petit peu. I feel like I can like hearing French, I can kind of recognize it, but it would be hard for me to string a sentence together at this point.
Do you feel like if you heard it, you would understand?
Yeah, I can pick up a little bit of it at least.
Okay, because I'm just thinking because I don't know French at all, but Queens of the Ring we are gonna have to watch eventually, so maybe download Babbel.
Well, also that seems like another movie. That seems like another movie where the Miz will just be like on the TV in the background of a scene.
True. Yeah, it was from the research I've done, it seems like WWE was just the like production company and.
Yeah, they do that. Sometimes they'll just pick up movies, that are already in production.
But I also feel like if any movie is gonna be good, like legit good, that WWE produced, it's probably the French one. So,
yeah, maybe.
Tune in this time next year.
Oh, is he in it because Maurice is in it?
Oh, Maurice is French?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about that. Honestly, Thomas, I don't think about Maurice very much. I know that's, like, not kosher or whatever, but she's just, like, a lady that The Miz is married to. I don't really care. Give me some wrestling. That's what I want. Anyway.
Yeah, baby.
We didn't predict any points to win for this movie because we were expecting to watch the challenge this week, and then, like, we want to take New Year's Eve off. Whatever. So, just a quick reminder for next episode of the challenge. Thomas, you've got 7 points right now. I've got 8 points. You've got Leroy and Cam winning the whole thing. I had Jay and Nicole Z winning. Obviously, Nicole is out, so just got Jay now. You've got Corey and Natalie winning the next mission. Are you sticking with that? Giving you the option giving you the option to change any predictions.
I would prefer to just go with what I said when I was thinking about it more versus when I wasn't thinking about it.
So you've got Corey and Natalie winning this next mission. I've got Lolo and Nam winning. You've got Gabby both being voted in by the House and going home. I've got Big T getting voted in and Amber B going home. You've got Nam being the person to be infiltrated. I said Fessy. You're expecting a Depeche Mode song. I'm expecting a Blondie song. So that's what we're keeping an eye out for next week when the challenge comes back, and I can't wait. The challenge, a lot more fun than, what is the movie called?
Very, very much looking forward
Event.
to watching the challenge instead of the main event.
It's been 1 hour since we started talking about this movie, and I already forgot the name of it. So, to answer my earlier question, bad episode title. Bad title, whatever, it's not an episode. You know what I mean. Anyway, Thomas, if people want to hear your thoughts on the Bean Dad or anything, where would they do that?
You can follow me at TomNotTom. I tweet about the Pistons mostly now.
Yeah, 1-4 now?
Yeah, they beat the Boston Celtics in a very dumb basketball game, and they're playing them again, basically right when we're stopping recording. And I can only assume they will win again and not lose by 40 points.
Let's hope. I saw Jeremy something? What's
Jeremy Grant?
Jeremy Grant won the DraftKings Dunk of the Week, apparently.
Oh, yeah, he had a good dunk on Daniel Tice in that
so
game.
That's pretty exciting. You can follow the show at DYWSLN, or not. We don't really tweet from that very often.
It's up to you.
It's your life. You get to decide what you want to do with it. You can follow me at Jake Scheidel, or follow us on Instagram at The Only Survivor Podcast, because that is what we are. Or review us on Apple Podcasts, Thomas, for the Miz fanatics who only listen to our Crizmiz episodes.
Sure, yes, of course.
What's the boilerplate 5-star review?
This is my favorite podcast. I like it better than all of the other podcasts. I give it a big thumbs up.
Love that. All right. Well, we'll see you in a year's time for another edition of Crizmiz, and also next week for a new episode of The Challenge. Have a great quarantine. Jesus Christ, second year saying that.
Yeah, it's still going, huh? We made it into another year of doing this.
All right. Eventually we'll say have a great summer again.
Yep.